The future of our great country, this megalith of industry and import, the largest and richest superpower in the world, democratically rests in the hands of its voters and the president-elect. Who will win this time on America's Next Top Warlord? Will it be the old guy or will it be the old guy?
Weapons of mass destruction.
Why kidding? We stole
training of ISIL forces.
The American experiment.
By the military industrial.
I will never lie to you. In unlimited asset purchases by the Federal Reserve.
One of the matters for the coronavirus. Pay for itself.
Please stop it.
Wow, 2020 was quite the crazy year. And yeah, we're only 2 months into 2021 and it's already been pretty crazy. I mean,
because this economy is malarkey, and only a Reddit army of autistic neets and retarded bleeps are up to the task of making sense of it.
I wanted to try and understand more about the markets and understand more about the economy and really where it's heading. So what I decided to do during lockdown is I actually picked up a couple books straight from the World Economic Forum. We have COVID-19, The Great Reset, and then this other one, Stakeholder Capitalism. So I'm going to be explaining what the Great Reset can look like in 3 steps. Firstly, I want to show you guys a video from the World Economic Forum that just kind of really shocked me. So just check this out.
To get us underway, let's hear from the forum's executive chairman and founder, Professor Klaus Schwab.
Thank you, Adrian. It is obvious that we are in the midst of the most severe crisis the world has experienced since World War II. 75 years ago, countries and people came together to shape the post-war global order, which brought us decades of peace, increased global cooperation, and prosperity to hundreds of millions of people around the world. The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. It has laid bare the fundamental lack of social cohesion, fairness, inclusion, and equality. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system for the need for the post-corona era. In short, we need a great reset.
Now is the time to think what history would say about this crisis. And now is the time for all of us to define our own role. What is it that would make it so that history would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset?
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate, and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future.
Let's dig deeper. What does it really mean? Okay, so let's get into the article. Now is the time for a great reset. And it's followed by this image, which is pretty weird. Push to reset the world. Okay, and it's written by Klaus Schwab, who's the head of the WEF. So it starts off talking about COVID, of course, problems, blah blah blah. The main part of it is right here. And here it outlines basically what this agenda would look like and the 3 main components of it. So the first would steer the market towards fairer outcomes. Notice they use the word outcomes, not opportunities. To this end, government should improve coordination, tax, regulatory, fiscal policy, upgrade trade arrangements, create conditions for a stakeholder economy, at a time of diminishing tax bases and soaring public debt. Governments have a powerful incentive to pursue such action. Moreover, government should implement long overdue reforms that promote more equitable outcomes. Right. Depending on the country, these may include changes to wealth taxes, the withdrawal of fossil fuel subsidies, and new rules governing IP, trade and competition. Huh. Okay. The second component of the Great Agenda would be to ensure investments advance shared goals such as equality and sustainability. And one thing I've noticed a lot in these articles and when they talk about the Great Reset is it pushes this idea of Industry 4.0. So in this third essential component for the reset, it says the priority is to harness the innovations of the fourth industrial revolution. Now, I don't really think this will be an industrial revolution like we've seen. I think it's going to be much more different to that. But anyways, it says to support the public good, especially by addressing health and social challenges during COVID, companies, universities, and blah 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 join forces to develop diagnostics, therapeutics, and possible vaccines. So essentially what it's saying here is with COVID, we've been able to really accelerate and work together better to come up with these kind of innovations. And I guess it's just saying, if we could basically deliver these efforts in every other sector, so, accelerate developments, in the industry 4.0 space. And then we of course have a quote from Claus himself, the man on top. The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Now, if that doesn't scare you just a little bit, I don't know what will. And then we're also followed by this really, really complex pictogram of what the Great Reset would look like on a diagram. So we have all these different objectives. So for example, we have harnessing the fourth industrial revolution. Now what does that have to do with, if we scroll into it, the future of media, entertainment, and culture? And we have something like strengthening regional development. Now, I don't really see the link to too many of these things. I mean, for example, revitalizing global cooperation. That's linked to biodiversity, which is interesting. Developing sustainable business models. Now, I would think that just means developing businesses that are profitable, but again, this is not the case. Restoring the health of the environment. Okay, that makes sense. Redesigning social contracts, skills, and jobs. But what link does this have to do with justice and law? And also, who determines that justice and law? How does that shape up? And then we have shaping the economic recovery. But again, what does this have to do with something like LGBTI inclusion? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And so, again, we are still left with a lot of unanswered questions to what this Great Reset is and how it's going to come about. But what we do know is some changes will come about, and this will be geopolitical, this will be things we won't really be able to comprehend. Now the question comes, of course, to what can we do to prepare ourselves for this kind of reset and how it's going to basically affect us.
This is the new normal, dear viewer. The SEC is social distancing, the Fed is adhering to CDC mask guidelines, Wall Street is always solvent for some reason, the PPT is on call working doubles, new booty money is in perpetual flow, retail trading has never been easier. Trading on Robinhood and its competitors is the best way for the plebeians to beat inflation. Everybody and their mom will soon be an equities trader and security analyzer, and the country is hyper-realizing into a manically depressive, brave new world.